Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 7 of AMT's Star Trek Enterprise D. Scale is 1 to 1/400. In this part I'm going to be carrying on straight on from where I left part 6. So I'm going to be installing the lights that I made up in that part. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To install the lights with the plaster card, first of all, I'm putting a bit of hot glue around the area that the plaster card is going to be going on. And I'm doing this in segments because this hot glue can dry very quickly. So just little spots, then I'll add on the light strip, then move on to the next section. And I just carry it on around. I'll do one end, then the other. So I'm just reaching the last part now. It doesn't take long to do. As I said, this hot glue can dry very quickly. And once it is dry, it's time to do a light test. So I'll just lighten them up there to see how all sits. And as you can see, but the camera washes it out a bit, of course. But if I just flip it over, you can see the lights coming through. And once I'm happy with it, it's time to move on to the next step, which is the impulse engines. So first of all, just cementing the area with normal cement, and then placing on the impulse cover. This is the area where I removed the backing of the plastic, so the light shines through onto the clear part. And I left a little lip around at the sides just to give this part something to grip onto. Now it's time to add some more lights, and what I've got here is two blue 3mm LEDs, and they've been connected together. Now I done this quite a while ago. These are the lights I was using to test specific areas, but I'm going to incorporate them into the build now. So this is why you haven't seen me connect them together, because I'm going to be using them now. But what I am doing is adding some wire onto it to lead off to connect to other parts of the model. So I'm basically taking the bare wire, twisting it around the its component, and then soldering it into place. And I'll just do my light test to make sure both are working. Now these LEDs are very simple to wire up. So I've got here 3mm red LEDs, and if you notice the prongs, one's longer than the other. Now the longer prong is the positive side. And what I've got here, I've got a thing called a resistor. Now each resistor has its own different value. And the easiest way to tell you the value of a resistor is the banding that goes around the unit. They're all color coded, and you can get a little chart online that shows you the value of each resistor and a simple calculation tool to get to that value. These ones are 470 ohms. Ohm is the measurement and the value of the resistor. And all I'm doing is wrapping it around the longer prong, and that's the positive side, before soldering it on into position. And I'll just cut away any excess parts of wire or the little tail end of the prong, just so everything's in a nice line. I'll then take a heat shrink sheath, and I'm placing that on the wire. I'll cut it to size. These come in certain lengths. You can buy them anywhere, and they're designed just to insulate the wire, I should say, so that you haven't got any bare wire. So I'll just place it onto the wire and push it down before connecting. Then taking the red 3mm LED that I've pre-wired, I'm twisting that around the actual wire that's on the LED strip. So I'm doing the positive side, so I'm wrapping around the wire on the red part. So that's the red I'm keeping as positive. So just wrapping it around the prong, the bare wire, then soldering it into position. Now because I'm doing this over the model, I have to be careful. There may be little spots that jump off your solder iron onto the model. Generally, they won't affect it too much. It's got paint to eat through before it eats through the plastic. So if it does happen, don't worry about it so much. But of course, you can have a soldering mat underneath that as well, just to protect it. Then we'll do the same with the negative side. That's the shorter of the two prongs on the LED, and the wire, bare wire, then is wrapped around that prong before once again soldering it into position. It doesn't take a lot of solder to secure this. Don't worry if it's messy and if you worry there's big clumps of solder everywhere. As long as you isolate it, you'll be fine. You're not going for looks here, you're going for the sturdiness of the joint. You want it to make sure that it won't come apart. So don't worry how it looks at this stage. So once that's soldered, I'm just pushing up the sheath. Now, also, if you've got too big a bit of solder, the sheath not going to go through it. But you can just use a bit of hot glue then, if that's the case. But mine did go on, and I'm just using the edge of my solder iron to go over the sheath, and that shrink wraps it onto the bare metal and onto the connecting wire, just to insulate everything, and it also helps to keep it nice and tight and stops it from breaking and coming apart. And it's the same with the positive one. That goes right over the resistor up to the top of the LED, and the same process is applied. So you can see there, after with the light test, the wires running from the LED strip onto the 3mm LED bulb. And it's exactly the same on the other side, with one slight difference. On this side, I'm adding another piece of wire leading off to it, so that will also be connecting to another LED. So I'm using that as my ring. That's the terminology used for the circuit, just to add power for my next LED. And once the two wires are connected, I'm just soldering the positive part on here. I will do a light test to make sure everything is okay. So the light test, everything's fine. The power is going to both sets of 3mm LEDs as well as the main LED strip. And the next set of lights is the blue set that I previously made up and that I was using for my light testing. I've already soldered a length of wire for the positive and neutral power runoff, and I'm connecting the red LED to this point. So at the moment we have a T-junction as such, and I'm just increasing this area with wrapping around the wire from the red LED onto the blue LED. So again, negative to negative, positive to positive. And once the wire is all connected, I'll just secure it with a little bit of solder. And then, of course, the light test to make sure everything is still working. And before everything gets too messy, I'm just tidying up the wires with a little bit of tape, just so they're not lying around everywhere, and I can easily follow each wire to its destination if need be. I've decided I need some more blue lights. The two that I put in is just not enough, so I'm adding another set of lights. Now this is a little bit trickier to do because everything is in place, but all I've done is I've broken the sheath on the existing wire, so I've used my knife just to cut around the circumference and pull it apart. That way to expose a little bit of wire, then connected the new LED to it. I'm also going to be adding a green LED as well, just because it's a different colour, no reason. But this is where you can see me splicing the wire a little bit better. So I just ran my knife over the sheath and gently pulling the sheath apart. I have to be very careful here that I don't completely snap the wire, and also when I'm pulling the sheath, I'm not butting it against anything and breaking the connection. So it can be quite tricky. This is why forward planning is really good. I didn't think I needed the extra light, but this time around I thought, yeah, I think I'll put them in. So I've added a little bit more work for myself, but these things are always a work in process, certainly with me anyway, even though I did plan out to a certain extent. It looks complicated, but it really isn't. The only thing you have to remember is make sure you're positive to your positive, your neutral to your neutral. Now everything's in place, I'm going to be doing another light test. And this is where I'll leave part 7. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you do, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment. And of course, you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.